The Milwaukee Bucks are one of the least successful teams in the NBA over the last 20 years. It's been nearly 2 decades since this team has been able to record 50 wins and make it to the conference finals. However, over the past 3 to 4 years, many NBA fans have been heavily anticipating the Milwaukee Bucks to take that next step. Obviously, with Giannis on the team and a supporting cast that has a lot of upside to it, a lot of people have not only anticipating for them to take the next step, but eventually compete in the Eastern Conference, especially since LeBron has taken his talents to the West. However, something very interesting occurred over the past several months, with some of the teams in the Eastern Conference re-upping for the upcoming season, such as the Boston Celtics having Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward potentially healthy for the entire season. The 76ers should expect Markelle Fultz to have a bigger impact on their team. And with the Toronto Raptors trading away DeMar DeRozan and bringing in Kawhi Leonard along with Danny Green as well, there are a lot of people who are of the belief that the Milwaukee Bucks have to compete with those 3 teams before they can make an argument for them being contenders amongst other Western Conference teams such as the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets. And even though I completely understand why so many people are quick to put the Bucks behind teams such as the 76ers, Boston Celtics, and the Toronto Raptors, I honestly believe that this could be the year where they not only take the next step, but potentially be deemed one of the better teams, not just in the East, but amongst all the teams in the league. Now, during the Giannis era of the Milwaukee Bucks, one big problem that they've consistently had is a lack of identity due to them trying to find themselves, which is something that is extremely common amongst young teams, and I believe this year they might have actually found the identity that they've been searching for due to the personnel that they've added to the roster. And that identity is just put a whole bunch of 3-point shooters around your freakishly gifted athlete, very similar to the LeBron system. See, this year, instead of running centers such as John Henson, Zeller, or Thonmaker, since that didn't really work out, they decided to bring in big men such as Brook Lopez and Ersan Ilyasova, which are better floor spacers. And when it comes to Brook Lopez in particular, over the past couple of years, he's definitely made massive strides in the right direction when it comes to his role in spacing out the floor for really any team that he wants to play for. I mean, literally just last year, Brook Lopez finished his season shooting roughly around 34 to 35% from behind the arc. And oddly enough, even his season numbers really don't do him justice, because in the early part of the season, Brook Lopez struggled pretty significantly from behind the arc, but as time continued to progress and in the second half of the season, Brook Lopez upped his 3-point percentage to around 37 to 38. Because of this, I actually believe that Brook Lopez will play a very pivotal role in the type of success that we should see from the Milwaukee Bucks. And what's crazy is they got him for only $3 million. Insane. And so when you add that level of depth at the center and power forward position with Brook Lopez and Ersan Ilyasova, and then you still have players such as Tony Snell, Malcolm Brogdon, Chris Middleton, and even Eric Bledsoe, who has shown significant strides when it comes to his ability to knock down a 3-point shot on a consistent basis, yeah, you're going to have a lot more spacing for Giannis to do Giannis things. And I believe this actually will help them out in the long haul, and it will give them a concrete identity to move forward with so they consistently know the type of players that they need to continue to add to this team as time continues to progress. Now, no knock on Jason Kidd, because I do believe he had a lot on his plate, especially trying to coach a player such as Giannis and trying to evolve his game to a point where he could be a superstar in the NBA, and I applaud Jason Kidd for doing so. However, offensively, let's just say Jason Kidd, he lacked imagination from time to time. And on the defensive end, for whatever reason, he just wasn't getting that much influence across to some of his younger players, especially Jabari Parker. So because of this, the Milwaukee Bucks, they had to bring in a new head coach, and that head coach is Mike Budenholzer. For those out there who aren't familiar with Mike Budenholzer, just a quick wrap up of the type of coach that he is. Coach Bud is an apple from the Popovich tree, and he doesn't fall too far from it, as Coach Budenholzer has obviously been influenced by the ball movement and defense intensity that he's seen from the San Antonio Spurs and Popovich over the past 2 decades. And yes, it's been 2 decades. I didn't even know Coach Budenholzer has stood next to Popovich basically from the beginning of Tim Duncan's career all the way up into his first year as a head coach with the Atlanta Hawks. And with his time with the Atlanta Hawks, even though the first season was extremely slow, the very next season, Coach Budenholzer was able to propel the Atlanta Hawks to the best season that they've ever had in franchise history, which was 60 wins and a conference finals appearance. The reason why he was able to do this is because he coached defense intensity and ball movement, which are 2 things that the Milwaukee Bucks have never had at all within the last 5 years of their franchise. Now, the reason why it's so important to have a coach like Budenholzer is because when you introduce a system or have personnel such as the LeBron system, where you just have a whole bunch of 3-point shooters surrounding your freakishly gifted athlete such as Giannis, the problem with that is that you tend to over-depend on a player such as LeBron or Giannis, and you start to see regression from a lot of other players. However, I don't believe that's going to happen. If anything, Coach Budenholzer, in the way that he initiates offense, the way that he orchestrates defense, and the way that he puts responsibilities on not only his best players, but on everybody on the team, it will allow players such as Chris Middleton, Eric Bledsoe, and Malcolm Brogdon to continue to grow as individuals and continue to help Giannis in pursuit of being the best team in the East and just being an overall better team. And because of the type of influence that Coach Budenholzer should have on his team, that brings me to my next reasoning, and that is last year against the Boston Celtics in the first round. It was extremely eye-opening how little Milwaukee got out of their supporting cast, and it was really just a Giannis and Chris Middleton show. This year, I believe that will change, largely because of Coach Budenholzer, but also because they actually have a lot of talent on their team. This isn't an organization that features a whole bunch of just catch and shoot players. These are players who can initiate offense, who can handle the ball, and who can create their own shot, which is something that would work perfectly in the Coach Budenholzer offense. And I honestly believe they have enough athletes that defensively that we should see what a lot of people have been hoping to see out of this team over the past 2 to 3 years, especially when it comes to young players such as Malcolm Brogdon. And also, I think Tony Snell is one of the more underrated players on this roster who hopefully will have a really good season this upcoming year. But when it comes to supporting cast, and if you want to call him that, I honestly believe that Chris Middleton will have a season this upcoming year where he really separates himself from a lot of other people, not just on the team, but a lot of other players in the NBA. Over the past 3 to 4 years, I think a lot of people have been anticipating, including myself, that Jabari Parker was going to be that co-star to Giannis, the player that was going to be able to ride along Giannis and give this team another dimension offensively. However, as time continues to progress, and as we all know, with Jabari Parker no longer on the team, but even when he was suffering through injuries, the team had to really rely on Chris Middleton way more than many people anticipated when this team was first built. And through those years, Chris Middleton, to his credit, has really built himself up to be a really solid player in the NBA. And with Coach Budenholzer now on this team, organizing the offense and allowing not only Giannis and Eric Bledsoe to initiate offense, but also giving some of that responsibility to Chris Middleton as well, I believe that we'll start to see more growth of Chris Middleton in his game and bringing more than just a 3-and-D aspect to the floor. And with all of that being taken into consideration, that brings me to my final point, which is Giannis being the best player in the Eastern Conference. As of right now, I do believe that the conversation can be had between Giannis, Kawhi, and Joel Embiid. However, I do believe this year Giannis will start to gain some separation amongst other stars in the Eastern Conference with the team that he is on right now. Giannis also has seen a lot of progression in his game over the past several years, so he's no longer the freakishly athletic player player who overly depends on his athleticism, he started to become more well-rounded, a solid ball handler, a really good passer and facilitator, and somebody on the defensive end who has shown a lot of promise. With Mike Budenholzer on the team and a roster that should share way more responsibility on the offensive end, hopefully we start to see more of his impact felt on the defensive side of the ball, because I just didn't see that much of it last year. And if that is so, that means that Giannis more than likely will take another step in the right direction. All of these things taken into consideration, I honestly believe that Giannis could have the Giannis year that we all have been anticipating. Going out there averaging ridiculous numbers such as 28 points, it seems as if he's going to be grabbing 10 plus rebounds rather consistently, and also recording somewhere around 6 assists with really good efficiency and elite level contributions on the defensive end. Giannis could not only continue to climb the ladder of the top 10s list in the NBA, but potentially put his name in the conversation to win MVP. And with that being said, I'll just go ahead and say it now. I honestly believe the Milwaukee Bucks could be a 55 plus win team this upcoming season. And with Giannis slowly definitively becoming the best player in the Eastern Conference, I honestly believe that it's not that far-fetched for them to achieve what I have set out for them this upcoming season. And if they're able to accomplish 55 wins, it makes it extremely easier for Giannis to throw his hat in the candidacy of winning the MVP award. But with that being said, those are just my opinions and thoughts on the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis, Chris Middleton, and the rest of the team, the Eastern Conference, and where I believe they will finish this upcoming season. So let me hear your thoughts. Leave the comments in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button as well, notification bell, and I guess I won't see you all, but you all will see me next time. Peace.